Welcome to Season 4, Episode 1 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. I'm your host, Angela Watson, and I'm here to speak life, encouragement, and truth into the minds and hearts of educators and get you energized for the week ahead. Today, I'm going to share some thoughts on 5 back-to-school time traps and how to escape them. Visit truthforteachers.com to get the transcript, links to recommended resources, and to share your thoughts on the show. This episode is sponsored by Kiddom, a standards-based platform that's helping teachers personalize learning. With Kiddom, teachers gain access to an unlimited library of content with beautiful, actionable reports. And the best part? Kiddom is free. Visit www.kiddom.co to learn more. That's KIDDOM.co. So I hope you all have had a fantastic summer. We actually still have a whole month left here in New York City. So this episode is a little early for some, but it'll be perfectly timed for others, I'm sure. Those of you who are already in the midst of all the craziness that comes with back to school season. At this time of year, your to-do list is going to be a mile long, and you're going to be working a lot of hours trying to get good systems in place for your new group of students. If you're feeling overwhelmed by all that needs to be done and exhausted by not only the long hours, but also the physical labor of rearranging and setting up a classroom, please know this is not only normal, but it will get better. I tended to work 70 or even 80-hour weeks during those first 2 weeks of school. I wanted to do things right the first time, do them right from the start, rather than having to go back and finish or redo things later on. I always considered long hours at back to school as an investment of time. You're doing things now that will create more time for you later. But there are some things that you might get sucked into doing this time of year that waste time or that actually create more work for you in the long run. So these are 5 back to school time traps that you want to be sure to avoid. The first trap is doing double work by beginning tasks too soon. To escape this trap, give yourself permission to wait to do certain tasks if you're going to create double work by beginning now. So for example, labeling classroom items with students' names and planning your exact desk arrangement. If you do that too soon before school starts, it could cause you to have to redo those tasks every time your class list changes. I remember getting my desk set up just exactly right for 23 kids and then having to rethink for 26 kids, and then for 24, and then for 28. I should have just put the desks approximately where I wanted them and then waited until the day before students started to create my final arrangement and put the desk tags on and label everything with kids' names. And even then, I'd need to have blank tags and extra desks ready so that all the changes to the roster during those first few weeks of school wouldn't throw me off guard. The idea is to avoid trying to make things perfect right now, especially when inevitable changes that crop up are just going to undo your perfect system and create frustration. Focus on your biggest priority tasks for now and give yourself permission to not only wait to do stuff that it's not yet time for, but to leave some things partially incomplete until you have all the needed information. Another back-to-school time trap to avoid is chatting with coworkers instead of getting work done. Now, on your first official day back, plan to do a little bit less work in your classroom. Don't load up that personal to-do list quite so much. That way you can ease into the school year and have time to catch up with coworkers that you haven't seen in a few weeks. If you've been getting ahead over the summer and you've been getting into your classroom and getting things set up, then you should have the luxury of being able to not plan too much for that first day back so that you do have time to socialize with friends. And then after that, set a designated time to be social. Maybe at lunch will be the time that you talk with your coworkers, or at breakfast once a week. Have breakfast in a colleague's room just before your contracted hours begin, or set up a biweekly happy hour with your team. Set aside time to talk, and then don't allow yourself to get distracted by conversations during your planning time. You can avoid hurt feelings by making it sound like the problem is with you and not with your coworkers. Tell them, this year, I'm really trying to focus on work when I'm at work so that I can get out of here and I can relax in the evenings. If you see me come in your room just to hang out and just to chat, please remind me that I told you this so that I can stop myself and get back on track. And can I also suggest, just as a little side note here, be selective about who you spend your time with. You want to be friendly and cordial to everyone, but you don't need to run through a 20-minute recap of the summer with every single person who teaches on your floor. Avoid those coworkers who just want to anticipate problems and complain about how much they're dreading the new school year, because their negativity will be a drain on your enthusiasm. Be polite, but look for that first opportunity to cut things off. Just say, well, I know you have so much to do. I won't hold you up. I'll see you at the meeting later. And keep it moving when you're around those people. A third back-to-school time trap to avoid is having long conversations with students' parents and constantly returning messages to them. And the escape is to create designated office hours in which you are available for conferences and returning parent phone calls and responding to parent emails. It's only natural for parents to want personal conversations with you about their child and special family situations at the beginning of the school year that they want to make you aware of. And everyone benefits when the teacher and parents are on the same page. But you want to batch these tasks as much as possible, rather than doing them all throughout the day, every single day. If you batch them, it will enable you to really focus on the conversations and the connections and keep you from feeling like all you ever do is email parents. You can also try to funnel the majority of your communication through one channel. I really recommend that you use a parent communication app like Blooms or ClassTag or Remind. Some teachers use ClassDojo Messenger. Pick some sort of app so that you don't have to sort through voicemails and email and handwritten notes and text messages and all these different forms of communication. And the great thing about these free apps is that they still allow parents to communicate in a way that makes sense for them. So they can still email or text you, but you receive the messages within the app, within this single platform, so that all the messages are going into and coming out of one place. It's really a great way to help you simplify and streamline your communication. Now, when a parent approaches you for the 10th time about an impromptu conference on something that's not that important, you can draw boundaries around that. You can say, I would love to talk to you about this, and I want to give you my full attention when we do it. Right now, I have some other tasks to take care of, so would you like to schedule an appointment to come in or call at and then give them a time that's during your office hours? So you can try to schedule things when it's more convenient for you, and that will allow you to batch the tasks. If you find that it's better to just handle the situation right on the spot, but you keep getting trapped into these overly long conversations, just say, I would love to keep talking with you about this, but I'm sure you have so many other things to do, and I don't want to hold you up. Do you want to schedule a time to continue this later? Or do you feel like we're on the same page and we're ready to move forward with our plan? So you want to just kind of create a little bit of closure to the conversation, keep things moving along, prompt the parent to think about whether they really need to keep talking about this. And if they do, that they're going to have to come back in and do it at another time because you've got other places that you need to be at that moment. So we've talked about doing double work by beginning a task too soon and catching up with coworkers instead of getting things done and feeling like all you ever do is return parent messages and communicate with your students' families. A fourth time trap to avoid at back to school is wasting time in meetings. Now, back to school time is just saturated with unnecessary meetings for most of us. And you could make suggestions that your school used shared documents and shared files to communicate in place of some meetings. You can also push for a move toward flipped professional development models, in which you watch or you read the training yourself at your convenience and then use meetings only as necessary for a short discussion afterward. When meetings truly are necessary, work to create agendas that start and end at specific times and have clear, actionable outcomes that are expected. So that way, if you reach a resolution before the meeting is over, you can create closure and end early and know that you accomplished the purpose of the meeting. Now, when you find yourself stuck in a pointless meeting that can't be avoided, use that time to think back on what you've accomplished that day and how much you've gotten done. And this is the exact opposite of what's going to happen intuitively. You're going to be tempted to sit there and just get frustrated about how much you need to be getting done, and you aren't because you're trapped in this meeting. Instead, take deep breaths, reflect on all the progress that you've made toward your goals. Make a mental list of all the great things that have happened that day that you're proud of. This can completely transform your mood in just a minute or two, and that means you won't lose more time after the meeting by complaining about it, or just wasting time on social media because now you're too irritated and distracted to get any real work done. Resolve to leave every meeting in a productive, positive mindset so that you can get out of there ready to move on with your day. You have the power to do that. No one can make you feel a certain way without your permission. So don't let anyone take away your power to leave in a productive, positive mindset. The fifth and final trap I want to caution you about today is obsessing over decorating your classroom and other things that don't matter. The escape is to focus on designing a classroom for productivity and learning rather than focusing on appearance. Organize your classroom so that you and your students can find things easily and put them back where they belong immediately after use. Create organizational systems for yourself that are so simple you can even use them while students are in the room instead of staying after school to put away piles of stuff. You should be able to just put things away as you go if your classroom is really designed to facilitate that. When setting up the rest of your classroom, the things that aren't just your personal belongings, focus on usability for students. Design your classroom so that your systems are really intuitive for them. The easier it is for kids to figure out how to follow your procedures and keep the classroom organized, the fewer reminders you'll have to give, the fewer consequences you'll have to give. So instead of wasting time with these 5 traps, use your time to focus on getting your classroom procedures in place so that routine tasks are automated and delegated to students. Plan how you want your classroom to run, how you're going to teach expectations to students. If school's already started for you, resist the urge to do basic management tasks around the classroom yourself because it's easier than teaching the kids how to do it. You really want to empower students to take responsibility for how the classroom runs and to take responsibility for their own learning. So focus on connecting with your students and building a rapport with them and creating the type of classroom community that makes kids feel supported and welcome and ready to learn. Now, I know that it can be difficult to focus on these things and what's really most important when there's so much on your plate. But remember that you are ultimately in control of your choices about how your time is spent. Don't focus on the chunks of time that you have no control over. Focus on how you're going to accomplish your biggest priorities during the rest of the day. Be strict and ask yourself, what am I choosing to say no to in order to saying yes to spending hours on this task? What else could I be doing with my time that would create more time for me later? Don't beat yourself up when you get sucked into things that don't really matter. Everyone is going to fall into these time traps at one point or another. Just focus on making a better choice here in this moment, and then make a good choice again in the next moment. As we talk about in the 40-Hour Teacher Workweek Club, productivity is often about celebrating small bits of progress and being okay with taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So release yourself from the pressure to be perfect and focus instead on awareness of how you use your time. What feels valuable, what feels productive, and what doesn't. And I think you'll find that just this awareness helps create an intentionality in your life where you learn to make better decisions slowly over time. I'm going to leave you with a motivational quote for the week ahead that I call the takeaway truth. And your truth this week is one of my favorites. It's this: be intentional about how you use your time. A river with no boundaries creates a swamp. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. Go to thecornerstoneforteachers.com/S4EP1 and leave your comments. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic week. You can do this. And remember, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it.